Hi, my name is Erica from fivelittle.monsters.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make my bead stitch hat. This is an example of the bead stitch hat. This is actually a child size, but it's almost identical to the adult size version that we're going to be making. I just don't have a sample of that on hand right now. I have a few video tutorials showing how to make some parts of this hat. This stitch right here, this row with the bobbly things, this is called the bead stitch, and I actually have a video that shows how to do this stitch. And then I also, the other kind of special stitch on this hat is this row here, or these rows. And you can see there's a few stripes of that. And this stitch is the half double crochet in the third loop. I also have a video showing how to do that. But I've had several people ask me if I could do a video showing how to make the hat from start to finish. So that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to be starting with the shaping of the top of the hat, and then I'll show you how to add the different sections of the different stitches and finish off with the ribbing around the bottom. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what you need. And again, this is the child size version, but it's very, very similar to the adult size version that we're going to be making. There's just a few differences in the stitch count. So the written patterns for both the adult size and the child size in a couple different versions are available on my blog, fivelittle.monsters.com. And the tutorial I'm going to give today is going to apply to any of them. The differences will just be in the stitch counts. So the child size just has a slightly different stitch count than the adult size version. But other than that, they're very similar in the construction and the finished product. So let's go ahead and get started. The only things that you're going to need for this project are obviously you're going to need your yarn and your hook, and then you will need a yarn needle to weave in your ends, and also an optional thing is if you would like the pom-pom on the top, you'll need a faux fur pom-pom. The yarn that you're going to want to use will be a worsted weight yarn or medium weight yarn, so it should have a number 4 here. The yarn I've used is the All Things You brand essential acrylic yarn. Some other similar yarns that would be similar in weight would be something like the Red Heart brand. You could use something like a Red Heart Super Saver. A Red Heart with Love, I believe, is a number 4 weight. Also similar would be like Havana's Choice from Lion brand or something like that. You're going to not want to use a very thin number 4 weight yarn like a Karen Simply Soft. That is going to make your hat a little bit smaller. But something that's similar in weight to those yarns or to this one here. The hook you use, you're going to need an eye hook for this particular project. This boy hook is the kind that I like to use, but just any eye hook should do the job. And then, like I said, you're just going to need a yarn needle for weaving in ends, scissors for cutting your yarn. Optionally, if you want a faux fur pom-pom on top, you'll need one of those. I usually order my pom-poms on Amazon, and they come in like a 12-pack, or depends on which ones you buy, but I've always gotten them in like a 12-pack of, you can get like multicolor packs or a variety of neutral shades, just depending on what you want. Okay, so once you gather your supplies, we're going to go ahead and get started with actually making the hat. We're going to start with a magic ring. And I actually have a video that shows how to do this too, if you need a clear video of how to do it, but I'm going to show you really quickly how I make my magic ring. And there's different ways of doing this. If you don't want to make a magic ring, you can also chain. For this, I would chain 3 and then work everything into your first chain, but I like to use the magic ring. So what I do is I hold my yarn like this across my palm, and I wrap it around my finger in an X. So then I stick my hook under both, and I pull up this yarn that crosses over the top. Some people at this point just keep it on their finger and work on their finger, but I like to slip it off and just hold that circle in place so that I'm working over my tail. And I'm going to start by chaining 2, and this is not going to count as a stitch. The chain 2s in the top part of the hat don't count as stitches. They're just the first couple chains to get you up to the right height. So anyway, so I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to start working into this circle that I have here. I'm going to work a double crochet, And that's my first stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I've got 2 double crochets there. I'm going to work 10 double crochets into my magic ring. So that's 3, yarn over, insert it into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And just keep doing that until I have 10 double crochets in this little ring that I've created. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's just double count or double check just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So now I have this tail that I've been working over as I work my stitches. And to tighten your magic ring, what you're going to do is you're just going to pull on that tail. And you can see that circle close up. And if you pull it really nice and tight, it closes all the way up so that you have no hole or opening there. And then you're going to slip stitch into your first double crochet to join it into a circle. I like to work over the tail of my magic ring for a little bit, and then if you want to go back in to make sure it's extra secure, just don't work all the way over the top of it, and then once you're further in, you can go back in and weave this end back around. But just to kind of get a start, I like to work over that tail. So to start my next round, I'm going to start by chaining 2 again. And then to make our increases for the next round of our hat, to make it bigger, we're going to work 2 double crochets in each of these 10 double crochets that we worked here. So that's going to give us a total of 20 double crochets. So like I said, the beginning chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch in this case. And you're going to go into that first stitch and do 1 double crochet. And then you're going to go back into that same stitch and do a second double crochet. Then you're going to double crochet 2 times into this next stitch. So 1 and 2. Then the same thing into the next stitch, 2 double crochets. So you can see how it's starting to increase our circle that's going to be the top of our hat. So just keep doing that, working 2 double crochets in each of these stitches around. So far I have worked into 5 stitches, so I have 10 double crochets, 5 sets of 2. And then I'm going to keep working all the way into these ones so that I have a total of 20. So 2 in this one. Two in the next one. And 2 more. And I have 1 stitch left, so I'm going to work 2 in the last stitch. And you can see this little stitch right here, that's actually the slip stitch, so that's not a stitch that we're going to work into. So I should have 20. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. So now, same as the last time, I'm going to slip stitch to my first double crochet of that round to join. And I've got a slightly larger circle. So to make the top of your hat, you're going to continue increasing until it's the size around that you need it to be. So we still have a few more rows of increases, obviously, if we want this to fit an adult size head. So each time we're going to be adding 10 double crochet. So this first one we had 10. The second time we added 1 to each of the original stitches. So we had 2 per original stitch. which made 20. The next round, we're going to have 3 stitches for each of the original stitches, so we're going to have a total of 30. And then we'll increase again by 10, and it'll be 40, and we'll keep going in that way until we get to the size we need. So we're going to chain our 2, just like we did on the previous rounds to get started, and then we are going to work 3 stitches across these 2 stitches, and then 3 stitches across these 2 stitches. So to do that, you're going to work 2 double crochet in this first stitch, and then 1 double crochet in your next stitch. So now you can see we started off with 1 stitch, and then we had 2, and now we have 3. So we're going to do that all the way around. So 2 double crochet and then 1, 2 double crochet and then 1. So 2 double crochet in this one, and then 1 double crochet in the next. 2 double crochet in this stitch, and 1 double crochet in the next. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. 2 and then 1, 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 and then we'll be done, and we'll have 30 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this round really quick. Okay, so here I am to my last 2 stitches. So I'm just going to finish that off again the same way. 2 stitches in the first one and 1 stitch in the second. And then slip stitch to the first to join my round. And you can see our circle is starting to get a little bit bigger. The next round, we're going to do 4 stitches for each of the first original stitches. So we're going to have 40. So the way that we're going to do that is we now have these 3 stitches that we're going to be working in this group. So we're going to do kind of the same thing we did with the 3 stitches, but instead of only double crocheting in the second stitch, we're going to just do a single double crochet in the first or the second and third stitch. So we're going to start by working 2 double crochets in that first stitch. So that's our increase. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet in this one and 1 double crochet in this one. So we have 2, and then 1 in this stitch makes 3, and 1 in the next stitch makes 4. And then we're going to repeat that all the way around. So in the next stitch, we're going to work 2. And we've got our second increase, and then 1, and then 1 in the next one. So now we have a total of 8 stitches. We have 2, an increase here, and then we have 2 worked individually, and then 2 worked in 1 to make another increase, and then 2 worked individually. So then we're going to keep doing that all the way around. So 2 double crochet in this next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next, and 1 double crochet in the next. 2 double crochet in this next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next, and 1 double crochet in the next. So just repeat that all the way around. 2 and then 1 and then 1, 2 and then 1 and then 1. And you will end up with a total of 40 double crochet in this round. Okay, so now I've finished the 4th round, and we have a total of 40 double crochet at the end of this round, having increased 10 from the last round. So again, I'm just going to slip stitch this to the first stitch, and that completes round number 4. Okay, so now we're ready to go on to round 5, and you can probably guess by now, round number 5, we're going to end up with 50 stitches, 50 double crochet. So just like we did with the previous rounds, we're going to start by chaining 2, and this time you're going to be working across 4 stitches, and you're going to have 5 stitches in that 4 stitch section. So just like we did with the last few rows or rounds, we're going to work 2 double crochets in this first stitch. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet in the next 3. Okay, so you can see we've now worked into 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. But we have 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because of those first 2, that increase worked in that first stitch. So we're going to continue that pattern all the way around, just like we did with the 3 and the 4. So 2 double crochet in the first stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. And then 2 double crochet in the next 1, 2, 3. So there's 2, 1 in this one, 1 in the second, and third. And we're just going to continue that all the way around. 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. So 2 in the first, 1 in the next, and the next, and the next. Okay, so I finished that round, and I have a total of 50 double crochet now, and I'm going to slip stitch to my first double crochet. Okay, so we're going to do one more round like this where we're increasing. So we're going to have 60 double crochet, and then we're going to continue on with the main part of the hat rather than just the shaping of the top. So same as the other rounds, we're going to start by chaining 2. We're going to work 2 double crochet in the first stitch and then 1 in the next 4. So we'll have 2 and then 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to have 2 double crochets in this first stitch, 1, 2, and then 1 in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to repeat that just like we have on the other rounds. So 2 in this one, then 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 in this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. All the way around until we have 60 double crochet around this row. I have gone all the way around. I have 60 double crochets in my 6th round. I've increased by 10. I'm going to join, just like I have with each round, join to my first double crochet with a slip stitch, and that completes round number 6. Now at this point we are going to start making the hat. So we're going to start working straight rows. There will be one more increase row, but we're going to work a couple of straight ones first. So going back to our sample hat, we are going to start working this section here, those 3 rows. And this is worked, like I said, this is called the half double crochet in the 3rd loop is the name of that stitch. It's just a half double crochet stitch, but it's worked in a specific place to give you that effect that almost looks like a knitted type stitch. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to work a round of half double crochets, and that's going to kind of be our starting point to make the stitch. So the first round's just going to be regular half double crochets. But instead of working an increase round like we have been, we're just going to work a regular straight, no increases round. So we're going to just work 1 half double crochet stitch in each of these stitches. So we're going to have a total of 60 half double crochets at the end of this round, of round 7. So to start, we're going to chain 2. And now we are going to half double crochet in each stitch. So to half double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert in stitch, pull up loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. And then just keep doing that all the way around. 1 half double crochet in each stitch. So I've worked this round of half double crochet all the way around my hat. And now we're to the point where there's going to be a little bit of a difference in how the next round of stitches are made. So I'm going to start that off by where I actually work my slip stitch to join. This hat does have a somewhat noticeable seam on the back. You can kind of see where that seam is. Because of the stitches that are used, it's really just kind of hard to get rid of that seam. But I'm going to show you how I work the slip stitch just because I feel like it works a little bit better in this particular stitch round. So when I'm doing the rounds of half double crochet in the 3rd loop, first of all, let me show you what the 3rd loop is, and then I'll explain where I do my slip stitch. So when you normally would work, if we were just going to do another round of half double crochets, we would work them into, so we were working under these loops here. So you've got 2 loops that form the top of your stitch. So that's my first stitch, and then I would work my 2nd stitch under these 2. So in some patterns, you're going to work something where it's going to be front loop only. So you would choose only this loop. Or back loop only. So you would choose only this loop. In this case, we're doing the 3rd loop, which is actually on the back side. There's these little ridges here, and that's where we're going to be working our stitches. And what that's going to do, is you'll see, is it's going to push this top forward so that that top, those little V's, are going to be showing around the outside of our hat. So because of this, I don't really want to work my slip stitch into this stitch like I normally would. I'm actually going to work it into that 3rd loop. So that's where I'm going to join. Now, just like I have with the other rounds, I'm going to start with a chain 2. And now I'm going to work this round. If you're following along on the written pattern, this is round 8. We are going to chain 2, and then we're going to half double crochet in the 3rd loop all the way around all of, like, this whole round. It's just 1 half double crochet, half double crochet in each stitch, but all worked in this back loop on the inside. So we're going to start, we'll work 1 half double crochet in that first stitch in the 3rd loop. And then rather than working here, we're going to go back behind. We're going to work our next half double crochet in that loop. And then our next one's going to go back here in this loop. And you can see how that's pushing that top of the stitches forward and giving us that V shape that you see in this stitch here. So just do that all the way around. working half double crochets in the third loop of each of those stitches. And the further you can get, the more you can kind of see that stitch pattern starting to emerge. And you can see if you kind of pull this one forward a little bit, as we work another round back here, it's going to push these stitches forward, and we're going to end up with 3 rows like that of these like V's, kind of sideways V's. So go ahead and just keep going all the way around, working those half double crochets in that third loop. Okay, so now I've made it all the way around, working that half double crochet in the third loop, and I'm ready to slip stitch and join my rounds. So like I said before, I'm going to actually work my slip stitch in that third loop of the first stitch, since that's where I'm going to be working my next stitch. And this round, we're going to be doing the same thing, half double crochet all the way around in the third loop. So we're going to start by chaining 2, and then we're going to work a half double crochet in the third loop of that first stitch. And so remember, these loops back here, not the top 2 that you would normally work on in, but those ones back behind. So just half double crochet in each of those. Yarn over, in stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert in the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. And just keep doing that all the way around. And you can see now we've got the second row pushed forward to give us that pattern. So we're just going to do this all the way around this round of the hat, which we're now working on round 9. Okay, so now I've completed round 9. So you can see I have 2 rounds all the way around where those stitches are, or you can see the stitch pattern from the half double crochet in the third loop. This round will also be pushed down, and that will give us our third kind of ridge of stitches there. So first thing I'm going to do is finish off this round by slip stitching. Okay, so our next round is going to be round 10. And this round's going to be a little bit different because we're actually going to be doing an increase round. But we're not going to increase by as many as we did up in this portion. We're not going to be increasing by 10 each in this round. We're only going to be increasing by 4. So we're going to go from 60 stitches, which we currently have, to 64. And we're also going to be kind of doing the next step in the pattern sequence. So in order to do that, we're going to be working single crochets in this round, but we're still going to be working them in the third loop rather than on top. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in this first stitch. Well, we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to work 2 single crochets in this first stitch. So that's 1 increase. Now we're going to be working 1 single crochet in the next 14 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we increased 1 and then we did 14 stitches. So by increase 1, we worked 2 stitches in the first stitch and then 1 in the next 14. Now we're going to repeat that. So we're going to work 2 in the next stitch. 1, 2. And then we're going to work 1 in the next 14 stitches again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So now we've added 2 increases to the first. We're halfway around, and we've added 2 increases, one here and one in here. So we went from having 30 stitches in this half to having 32. So we're going to repeat that 2 more times to add 2 more stitches. So 2 and then 14, 2 and then 14, and that will get us all the way around. So 2 single crochets and then 14, 1 in each of the next 14. So I finished my 2 more increases. So we went from having 60 stitches in a round. Now we have 64 because we added 4 increases around this last round. Now this round you can just join like normal. You don't need to work it in a different loop or anything. So just in this first single crochet, I'm just going to slip stitch to join my round. And you can see those 3 half double crochet rounds with the tops pushed forward to give us our stitch pattern. So the next round that we're going to do is going to be this bead stitch round. So the bead stitch is kind of like a sort of a puff stitch that's worked around a vertical bar rather than being worked into a stitch. So I'll show you what I mean as we work this stitch. So we're going to start by chaining 2, just like we did in a lot of the other rounds. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet in that same stitch. So yarn over, insert in the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So to make the bead stitch, we're going to be working around this bar of this double crochet. And you're kind of working your stitch almost sideways. So you're going to yarn over, and then you're going to put your hook kind of in between the bar and the chain 2. So, and then you're going to pull up a loop on your hook. Then you're going to do that again. Yarn over, put your hook in there around that bar, pull up a loop. So now you have 5 loops on your hook. Now we're going to do that one more time. Yarn over, insert your hook around that bar, pull up a loop, for a total of now 7 loops on our hook. So now we're ready. That's all the times that we're going to stick it in there. So we're ready to finish our stitch. So we're going to yarn over, and then we're going to pull it through all 7 of these loops. And we've made our first bead stitch. Now, so we worked our double crochet into our first stitch. Well, this bead stitch is going to be our second stitch. So we're going to skip this stitch, and we're going to work a double crochet in the third stitch. So we worked a double crochet in one, we're skipping the next one, and then double crochet in the next one. And this is going to be the bar that we're going to work our next bead stitch around. So you're going to do the same thing. Yarn over, go around that bar, pull up a loop. Yarn over, around the bar, pull up a loop. Yarn over, around the bar, pull up a loop. So we now have 7 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all 7. And again, we're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. So just a normal double crochet. Now we have our next bar to work around. Yarn over, around the bar, pull up a loop. Yarn over, around the bar, pull up a loop. Yarn over, around the bar, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through all 7 loops on your hook. Skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. work your bead stitch around that post. So yarn over, around the post, pull up a loop, yarn over, around the post, pull up a loop, yarn over, around the post, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 7. And that's how you make the bead stitch. So you're just going to keep going around, working that same stitch all the way around your hat until you get back to the other side. So yarn over, work a double crochet, so skip one, work double crochet in the next one, yarn over, round the post, pull up a loop, yarn over, around the post, pull up a loop, yarn over, around the post, pull up a loop, pull through all 7 loops. And that's the bead stitch, so you just continue it all the way around the hat. Okay, so I've worked almost all the way around. I have 1 stitch left, so I just finished a bead stitch. I'm going to work a double crochet. I'm going to skip 1 stitch, then I'm going to work a double crochet in the next stitch. And then I'm going to work my bead around that post. And that's my last stitch. Now I am going to slip stitch to the first double crochet of the round and join. And now you can see I've got those bead stitches all the way around my hat. Because normally we would end up with, now we have 64 stitches. Because the beads are worked every other stitch, we have 32 beads around our hat. And also we've worked 32 double crochets in the process of doing those, for a total of 64 stitches. So now we're going to move on to the next part of our hat, and you can see after we had our 3 rows of half double crochet in the back loop, or in the 3rd loop. Then we had the round of bead stitch, and now we're going to be doing some more of the half double crochets. We are going to start by half double crocheting in every stitch. And what this means is, so we're going to chain 2 to start. So we're going to work a half double crochet in the top of each double crochet. And we are also going to work a half double crochet in the top of each of the beads. So this is a double crochet. So we're going to work in the top of that double crochet. And then this is a bead stitch, so we're going to half double crochet in the top of that. And we're going to do that all the way around, working in every stitch a half double crochet. So at the end of this round, you should have 64 half double crochets. Okay, so I've just completed round 12. I've worked a half double crochet in each of the stitches from the bead stitch row. So each double crochet in each puff. And now I'm going to, this is going to be kind of like this row up here where we're going to be working into the 3rd loop. So I'm going to join, but I'm going to join with a slip stitch into the 3rd loop, since that's where I'll be working. And now I'm going to chain 2, and this round is going to be exactly like this second round here, where we're just going to work 1 half double crochet in the 3rd loop. So remember, not in the normal 2 loops that you would work into, but the loop behind that. And we're going to work a stitch in every stitch, 1 half double crochet in each of the half double crochets from the previous round, but in the back 3rd loop. And again, you can see that pushing that top edge forward to give us the look that we're going for in this round. So just work a half double crochet all the way around in each of those stitches. So yarn over, insert in the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all three. Yarn over into the third loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all three, all the way around this round until you get back to where you started. Okay, so I've gotten all the way around with this round. So this is round 13 and I finished that. Now I'm just going to slip stitch to join my round. And now to start on round 14, it's going to be the same thing again. So 2 double crochet to start, and then half double crochet in the third loop of every stitch around. Now I've finished this last round of half double crochets, so I'm going to just slip stitch like I did on the other rounds. And now this round is going to be our single crochet round that we do before the bead stitch. But in this last time, we did increases in that round. This time we will not be doing any increases. So all you'll need to do is chain 1 to start, and then you will just work a single crochet in the back or the third loop of each of these half double crochets. Just 1 single crochet in each stitch. So you'll have a total of 64 single crochets. So now I've completed my single crochet round, and you can see the pattern of the hat starting to come together. So we've got the 3 half double crochet in the third loop rounds, we've got our bead stitch, and then we've got another section of the half double crochet. Now, if we go back to our finished hat, you can see we're going to do another round of, so we have half double crochet, bead stitch, half double crochet, bead stitch, and then half double crochet. So we're about to start another round of the bead stitch. At this point, we are just repeating what we did previously. So it's going to be the same as this round here. You're going to do a chain 2 and then double crochet into that same stitch where you joined to make your first vertical bar that you're going to be working around. Yarn over, wrap around that bar and pull up a loop, yarn over, around the bar and pull up a loop, yarn over, around the bar and pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 7 loops on your hook. Skip your next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch to create your next bar. Yarn over, wrap around and pull up a loop, yarn over, wrap around and pull up a loop, yarn over, wrap around and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops on your hook. Now we're going to skip a stitch, double crochet, yarn over, around the post, pull up a loop, yarn over, around the post, pull up a loop, yarn over, around the post, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 7. And you're just going to continue that just like you did in this round here, all the way around your hat so that you have a total of 32 of these little beads or puff stitches. So now we finished our second round of bead stitch. So now we're going to do another one of these sections, and it's going to actually be worked identically to how we did this section here. So The first one was a little bit different because we had some increases either just before or just after, but then we worked the bead stitch row and then this section, and then this bead stitch row, the bead stitch rows were the same as this, and then now we're going to be working one that's exactly the same as this. So just like we did in this first round after the bead stitch, we're going to be working a half double crochet stitch in every stitch all the way around, both the bead stitch and the double crochet, or the puff part and the double crochet. So we're going to chain 2 to start, and then you're just going to work 1 half double crochet in every stitch all the way around. And in this part, you don't have to do it in the third loop, you just work in every single stitch until you've gone all the way around your hat. Just 1 half double crochet in each stitch, and just continue that all the way around. Okay, so I've completed my first half double crochet round after this bead stitch round. So just like I did with the previous sections, I'm going to join it by working my slip stitch in that third loop. And then I'm just going to chain 2 and half double crochet in the third loop all the way around. Just like you've done in the other rounds. And I'm going to do this for 2 more rounds. So this round and then the next round will be just like this, where it's just half double crochet in the back loop of each stitch. Okay, so this completes round 18, which was just the half double crochets in the back loop, or the third loop. And then, like I said, we're just going to repeat that round one more time, exactly the same, half double crochet in the third loop of each of your stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and start the same way I have with every round, with a chain 2 and then half double crochet in the third loop. Just repeat that all the way around, and this is the last row where we're going to be working this exact stitch. We're going to start switching it up here in the end because we're almost done with the hat. So I will just quickly finish this round of half double crochet in the third loop and then show you how to finish the last section of the hat. Okay, so I've finished my last round of half double crochet. So you can see we've finished all of our pattern repeats. We have our half double crochet section, our bead stitch, half double crochet, bead stitch, half double crochet. And now the next thing we're going to be moving on to is the ribbing section that goes along the bottom of the hat. And this is made using post stitches, front post stitches, and back post stitches. So we're ready to move on to that. This version, it's the child size version, the ribbing is a little bit shorter, so ours will be a little bit longer on the adult hat, but it still has the same look. You can kind of see how it gives this sort of bumpy ribbed texture. So the way that we're going to do that is our first round, we're just going to work double crochets, just normal double crochets. But what we are going to do is we are going to still work in the third loop of this last round, just like when we finished our last round of half double crochets up here, we did a round of single crochets, worked in the third loop. to give us our starting edge that we were going to work our bead stitch, but still to push forward that top of that last round of half double crochet. So what we're going to do is, if we just worked into the top, it would look like that. But because we want it to go into, we want it to flip out like this, we're still going to work into that third loop, but we're just going to do double crochet now, not half double and not single. So back to the same stitch we used at the top. So we're going to start by chaining 2. And again, that's not going to count as a stitch. And then we're going to work a double crochet. So double crochet, yarn over, hook in the loop that you're working in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And just do that in every stitch all the way around. So it's similar to the last round, except for instead of working half double crochets, we're doing double crochets this time. But other than that, 1 stitch in every stitch from the other round, all the way around till you get to the end, just a round of double crochets. And you should have 64 stitches still at this point. Okay, so I finished my first round of double crochet. Okay, quick little disclaimer here before we move on to the ribbing. I chose a ribbing that uses post stitches. So front post stitches cause the stitches to kind of poke out like this, and then back post stitches cause it to pull back. So I chose a pattern that uses 3 stitches. So 2 front, 1 back, 2 front, 1 back, 2 front, 1 back. However, the hat does not have a multiple of 3. This one does, the child size does, but the adult size has 64 stitches, which doesn't give you a perfect multiple of 3. So that didn't bother me, but if it does bother you, there are a couple of things that you can do to get around that. If you want to use the same ribbing that I did and follow my pattern exactly, but you don't want the odd stitch at the back, you can still do the multiple of 3, the 2 front, 1 back, 2 front, 1 back. But what you can do is on this last stitch, if you would like, you could, instead of working just double crochets in all of them, when you get to your last stitch, well, your last 2 stitches, I guess, you could double crochet 2 together. So in order to do that, you would yarn over, put your yarn in your hook, or put your hook through your loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, put it in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So what you've done is you've decreased 1 stitch. So instead of having 64 stitches, you now only have 63. And this will give you the right multiple to make your ribbing. The other option, I'm not going to do that just because it's not the way that I have it written in the pattern, but that's definitely an option, and it will give you the right number of stitches for your ribbing. Like I said, it didn't really bother me, so I didn't worry too much about it, but I liked the look of the ribbing that way with 2 and then 1 and then 2 and then 1 better than I liked the ribbing where it was just alternating every other one. But that's the other option, is it is an even number, so if you want to make sure that the number matches and you still have 64, you could do front, back, front, back, front, back. So it'll have 1 popped out, 1 sunk in, 1 popped out, 1 sunk in. That's another option. I just kind of liked the look of this better, so that's just how I did it. I'm going to show you the way it's written in the pattern, but just so that you know, if you would like to change it up, those are a couple of things that you can do. Either decrease your last stitch, your last 2 stitches in this last round to, and this would be round 20, so that you have only 63 stitches in this round, or you can do just an every other front, back ribbing. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did it. So the first thing is I'm still going to start out by chaining 2. And now you're going to do a front post double crochet. So to do that, it's just a normal double crochet, but the difference is kind of like the half double crochet ones, it's where you're putting your hook to work the stitch. So to work a normal double crochet in this stitch, we would just put it through the top of our stitch. But that's not how we're going to do it. We're going to work around the post from front to back and back out in the front. So that's how you do a front post double crochet. You're going to yarn over just like you normally would, and then you're going to wrap your hook around your stitch. You're going to yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And you can see that that stitch raises up because you kind of pull it forward when you wrap your hook around it. So we're going to do that twice, and once in each of the first two stitches. So there's one front post double crochet. Now we're going to work another front post double crochet. So again, yarn over, put your hook around this post, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And now we've got those first two front post double crochets. Now, in order to create the ribbing look, I'm going to do a back post double crochet. So the way I'm going to do that is similar, but kind of, instead of inserting my hook from front to back like that, I'm actually going to come back behind it and go from back to front and then back out. And I'm going to grab my yarn, pull it through, finish my double crochet, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And that has pulled my stitch to the back. So it creates kind of a dip. And then it's going to come back up as we do our next two, which is going to be two front post double crochets. So again, yarn over, insert your hook around the post, pull through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And then we do two of those. So in the next stitch, yarn over, hook around post, pull through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And now back to the back post double crochet. So go behind and around your post, pull your yarn through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And you're just going to repeat that pattern. So two front post, one back, two front post, one back. It's kind of hard to see the definition that it gives in the video, but so we're going to work a front post double crochet here, and then another front post double crochet, and then back to a back post. So wrap around the back. Oops, my yarn came off my hook. Okay, and then two front posts again. So yarn over around the front of your post. Finish your double crochet, yarn over, go pull your post forward again, finish your double crochet. And now back to a back post double crochet. So again, yarn over, go behind and in front of your post, pull your yarn through. Oops, I dropped it. Sometimes on the back one it gets a little bit tricky with pulling your yarn up because you're kind of at a weird angle, but then finish your double crochet. Just continue that pattern to the end of this round. Two front post, and then one back post. So you can kind of start to see the pattern of the ribbing forming as it kind of comes up and then dips in, up and dips in, up and dips in, and it creates that sort of ribbing texture that finishes off the hat. Okay, so I finished my first round of the back post, front post stitches. The next two rounds, the final two rounds of the hat, are going to be worked just like that. It's just increasing this ribbing. So we're just going to continue with the same pattern. So you will, where you have front post stitches here, you'll work front post. Where you have a back post, you'll work back post. So it'll be same thing, front post, back post, front post, back post. And we're still doing double crochets. So just front post double crochet in those first 2 stitches. And it's actually a little bit easier to work the post stitches now, I think, because they're popped out or back, and so they're not even with your stitching. So this is going to be a back post, and then I'm going to do a front post and a front post, and then a back post. And you can see it's just repeating the pattern, but it's just increasing, just adding more length to it. So we're going to do that this round, and then we're going to do one more round after this, exactly the same, just 2 front posts, 1 back post, 2 front posts, 1 back post. So go ahead and just continue that until you've completed 2 more rounds, this round and 1 more after this, of your post stitches. Okay, so now I've finished my final round of my ribbing, and you can see it's just gotten a little bit taller. On the child size hat, I did fewer rounds, so it's a little bit shorter. But now we're ready to just finish the hat. Just add the last few finishing touches. The hat is complete. We're just going to finish off a couple of things. So the first thing we're going to need to do is obviously we're going to need to clip our yarn and weave in our end. So you just do that like you would with any project. Use a yarn needle and just weave your end in. I'm not going to worry about that part right now because I figure most people probably know how to weave in their ends. Just weave through the stitches back and forth so that it's nice and secure. The last step is if you want to add a pom-pom on the top, you'll do that at this point. I'm actually not going to add a pom-pom to this particular hat because I don't happen to have one that I like the color of with the purple yarn. I would probably, if I was going to do one, do the tan color or else like a white or something like that that would be lighter. All I have is pink and blue right now, so I don't really want to do that. But I am going to show you how I attach them. So I ordered the pom-poms that I use on Amazon. You can get like a dozen of them for, I want to say they're around $15. I have a link to the ones that I used in my blog post, which I will link in the description on this video. And the ones I had ordered have a little elastic loop on them. And so I just used that little loop to sew onto the top of my hat. I just sewed through the loop and through the top of the hat. And that's how I secured them. So I just used a yarn needle, threaded with some yarn, and just did it through. On this hat, I only stitched through once. I didn't even stitch it. I tied it. I just used a strand of yarn and I went through from the inside, pulled my needle up, and then went through the elastic loop and went back down. And then I just tied it really securely. And that works fine. It's a little bit loose. So I would probably recommend going through a few times, maybe stitching through kind of more from the center and then from each side so it kind of holds it in place a little bit better. But that is all I do to stitch on the pom-poms. If you're using either pom-poms that you've made or there's other types of pom-poms that don't all have the elastic loop, then you'll need to sew it on a little bit differently, but still just stitch your pom-pom on the top of the hat. The only ones that I've ever used are the elastic loop ones, so that's all I really have experience with, but it's pretty simple and it adds kind of a fun touch to the hat, although it looks nice without a pom-pom as well. So really the pom-pom's very optional. If you want to add kind of that fun touch to the top, you can. If not, I think it looks great even without the pom-pom. So hopefully this video tutorial answered any questions you may have had on how to make this hat. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave a comment asking me or contact me through my blog or social media. There's also a video that goes into a little bit more depth on how to do these 2 stitches, the half double crochet in the 3rd loop, as well as the bead stitch. So feel free to watch those if you need a little bit more help on those stitches. The written pattern for this hat is available on my blog, 5littlemonsters.com. It's called the Bead Stitch Hat, and I'll put the link in the description below. I do also have a pattern for a child size version that includes this child size version, which is a little bit slouchy. It's a little bit long, so it kind of has more of a slouchy look, as well as a more fitted version and a toddler size version. So I will also link to those patterns down below, and they are available on my blog in written form as well. So thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any more questions that you need help with or anything like that.